Talking with Words.
Welcome back to Talking with Words. You're here with Rob,
Ryan,
and David.
And we are going to do a threequel. This is our first one of those as well with Hell House 3. What's this one called?
The Lake of Fire.
The Lake of Fire. It's like my Uncle Steven's rectum. If you've followed the other Hell House podcasts, you know basically what this is about. It's a haunted hotel. But here's a summary for you, just in case you missed them. The Abaddon Hotel will once again be open to the public. Russell Wynn has taken his audience interactive show, Insomnia, into the abandoned hotel that is rumored to be haunted. Sally, would you like to do the Parents Guide? Parents Guide.
That is where we would normally add Sally's guide, but there's not one. And I am in an airport working, so we're just going to skip that section and move right along. Yippity-da-ba-ba-doo.
Anything else you guys want to add before we dip into this and listen to the piano music again?
Yeah, if you, for some unexplainable reason, have not listened to our podcasts about the first two, here's a quick recap. In the first movie, bad things happened. In the second movie, more bad things happened. In this movie, we're going to find out what happens.
I got a feeling this one's going to turn out real good for everybody. They're going to go in. They're going to stay the night. They're going to have mints on their pillows.
I mean, I think everyone's going to be holding hands and singing Kumbaya by the end of the movie.
There will not be one drop of blood.
Not one.
Maybe some
is that
gushers.
a code for praise Satan?
Oh. We can play it backwards later. All right, let's watch this film. That was Hell House 3, the oh God, Ring of Fire, right?
Lake of Fire.
Lake of Fire.
Ring of Fire is Johnny Cash.
Yeah, and buttholes. So,
especially after Wing Night.
Oh God, yes. Or maybe even flam burrito sometimes.
Touche.
David, your toilet and I have become well acquainted. I don't like that intro.
Good for you, I guess. Guess I'll have to clean it again.
Oh no, it's definitely. Never mind.
You may have to replace it.
Yeah, you're gonna throw that one out. Okay, this is 9 years after the original, 1 year after the second. Essentially, when I asked the question, and you guys didn't really answer me, and now I know why. The interviewees that start the show are all post-documentary. Is that right?
Yes.
The host of Morning Mysteries, the new host.
Yeah.
Like when they're talking and we have our fancy beard man.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all post the documentary that the movie is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's all like current day. That's
right. Okay. So this guy, Russell Wynn, who is a eccentric billionaire with a ever progressing scar on his face,
yeah,
decides to redo Hell House and make it into his interactive play under the umbrella of what's it? Insomnia.
Insomnia.
Yes, and
which is based on a real play, Sleep No More. It's done in New York, I believe.
Is what Insomnia is?
That's what it's based on.
Okay.
I remember reading about it a while back, so I don't remember much, but it looked pretty cool. Like I think it's one of those things where, like in the movie, people wear masks and they follow along as the play is being enacted.
Yeah, I like that part. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Jumping way ahead here.
Yeah.
They pretty much, and jump in at any time here, they doesn't do the time jumping a lot like the other two did, especially the second one. The second one was all over the place. But
they did a ton of flashbacks where they were going through parts of the house and they would flash, a second or three of footage from one or two, or
which I thought was weird at first, but at the end you're like, oh, that's why.
So that was one of my favorite parts of 3, just because it flashed back to a lot of the classic scenes from 1 and 2.
Right. A revisit of like the clown and the winery and the bar, which they redid.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And they introduced heaven, which as soon as they did that, I was like, okay, so this is different. something's going to be different this time around. It's not going to be the same. Everyone dies from Tully.
I think as long as you're listening to things, they brought back like the cool things. You said the bar, the wine area. There was room 2C. There was also, and I think it's a different room. The room where, it is a different room. Yeah, where everyone hid in the second one. That was a big
right. And where the girl was sitting against the wall in the first one, that same room, and he's hiding under the covers.
The second, actually, the first two's best jump scares were in that room.
Yes,
because he had the little creeper hanging around the door of the second one, which still gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
The attic.
I feel like Uncle Steven's always watching.
Indeed. I guess because it's the same place, so they used it all. They just changed it up enough that it wasn't a carbon copy like the second one was. And they changed like the dining room where we saw the main actor, Gregory, after his quote unquote conversation with Sarah, stuff like that. When it starts, we have the Morning Mysteries gal go in and essentially say, hey, everyone take these camcorders because how are you going to do a found footage film without a whole bunch of camcorders laying around? Yep. And gives everybody one. That's kind of where we kick it off.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, before we get too far into this, that they also brought back one of the greatest elements of both of the first two films. And it is the character of Robert Lyons, played by Theodore Boulikos. I probably mispronounced his name. And he's the guy who's basically so for the documentary within the movie, he is basically that documentary's version of the guy with crazy hair that's always on Ancient Aliens. He's really excited. He's incredibly knowledgeable about all of this stuff. He kind of sets you up for every little reveal. He's probably my favorite character from the entire
whole series.
The whole series, because he's just great. I don't know.
He looks like Ron Howard's slightly drunk, more eccentric brother. Because he's got like the mustache that's kind of grown out, but it's not quite curled up, and he's a little rough. But every time he talks, and then what do you think happened from there? And he would just have that kind of leading goofiness.
I want to hang out with that guy and just let him talk about things.
I like your idea of get him on the podcast. Yeah,
let's get him on the show.
We need to.
Another thing from the beginning, which they did the exact same thing as in the second one, is they, for some reason, always just go up and touch that one handcuff thing hanging from the ceiling in the basement. The second one, they went up and kind of
bad juju.
Jiggled it and were like, hey, yeah. And this time that she just was like, oh, yeah, look.
Well, let's be fair. If you walked into any room and there was a set of shackles hanging from the ceiling, would you not just go up and touch it? Like, it's human nature.
I'd want to talk shop.
Okay. Ryan.
Who's your shackle guy?
Where'd you get this chain?
It's kind of like, if you you take out the like tongs if you're grilling or something. You're always going to tap them a couple of times. It's just one of those things you do.
You got to get 2 test clicks.
Yeah, so like with the manacles, you're testing like, oh, these look like they swing, but do they actually swing? I'm going to touch them and find out.
Just in case I'm ever in them, how loose are they?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there lotion? Just me. Anyway, they get in and it takes them a little while to get to Wynn, and he's got his own little posse with his COO and his the guy, the director.
No, he was like the
honey sweetheart, whatever they kept calling each other.
He was
they were.
I think he wasn't. So I think the guy's the COO is the COO of like the whole Wynn Media Group.
Yeah, he had the Wynn Media Group jacket on the whole time.
Right.
Oh yeah, he was representing.
So he was. I think his sweetie. What was that? Harvey maybe. Yeah, Harvey. I think he was like the director / operations manager for
he was like
this production,
like the staff coordinator.
Yeah, because he's on the monitor.
Yeah, he had the greatest quote of the movie,
which was
it? This is the least fun project I've ever worked on, and I did children's theater in Alabama.
Yes. Yep, I wrote that one down too. Fantastic. And then before we actually get into, the actual show that they do in the movie is fairly short. A lot of lead up to it and a lot of setting up that final section, I guess. The reckoning. But they explain the Latin on the Wall, which I asked about when we watched 2.
Yes.
And you guys were real cagey. It says the gate is open.
We told you they would explain it in
You did.
3.
You did indeed. You had the priest package arrive, which we never got to see what it was, did we? Did we ever see it?
I think it was the holy cloth he was wearing when he battled Tully at the end.
Oh, was he wearing something different?
He had something dangling that appeared to be a scarf, but now that you mentioned that, it
stole.
I don't know
Is
that
that what it's called?
I don't know.
Stole. I think that's the right term.
I originally thought like holy water or something, so that makes sense that he would have a holy relic to wear to fight.
It's
Shit.
totally a guess.
Anyway, something was in there. They kind of buffed that one, I thought, because I figured at the end you'd have the golden gun moment where they pulled it out and I'll fight you. Which I'm glad they didn't pull that off forever like they did in the second one. They just kind of let it go.
Yes.
As they're going through and the basic tour piece, we see the 3 clowns and we see the 2 clowns.
We see 2 clowns.
You're right. Bloody Eye Clown is not there, my favorite clown. And we also have they kept doing the shutter thing, like you were saying with the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Which the first one I was like, oh, Jesus, what was that? But they were just flashing back to other stuff that happened.
A clown.
And the horrible things that happened in the other 2 movies. And then from there is the bonfire scene, I believe. Is there something else I'm missing? Other than they explain that he has wine brought in.
We're seeing some of those flashbacks. They're talking about the first night when they're like, you guys are staying. Like they were still hanging out one night, and that's when they pulled one of the clowns from the basement. Not your favorite clown, but one of the other clowns.
Oh yeah,
and
to scare
scared
the girl.
Jane
to set up that there are pranks going on.
Right,
could have been a prank.
And that playing the clowns off as just harmless props left over from Hell House from the first one.
And then, they also mentioned the Abaddon eyes.
Right.
And so probably the first, before they even get to that, the first sign of actual creepiness is when Vanessa, who is the host of the show, when she is walking through the heaven set, she stops and she turns because she thinks she sees something. That's when they throw out that term.
Abaddon eyes.
Abaddon eyes, yeah.
And we never see what she thinks she sees, but when he comes in her hotel room later, he's like, hey, the camera caught this. Yeah. And it was...
And they show the...
a guy, Alex, or one of the guys from the first one.
Hanging out in the background.
Right.
Which, that kind of stacks with the other girls' Instagram photos, which... I love that it's like, well, if you look closely, and that one is just like literally a guy right behind her hanging from the rafters.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to look that close to figure some of this out.
Well, no, 2 of them were like that because the other one was the guy right behind her
right there.
in the wine rack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that plays along with the whole thing of, you're not going to catch it on camera until you see the playback, or you're not going to see it while you're taking the photo. You're going to see it when the photos are printed or,
which I assume,
in this case, posted.
Were you guys looking for that at all when you watched it this time?
What, just looking for things in the background?
Those type of things that, or especially the one with her when he says, hey, I saw this one thing in the footage, her cameraman.
Yeah.
And it shows the person in the hallway. Did you notice if that was actually there, or did they do another shot with it so that you wouldn't catch it the first time? And it was creepier not having possibly noticed it at all.
I don't think if
I was
it's
looking
the
and
one
I
I'm
didn't see
thinking of,
it.
yeah,
So
I don't think it was the right camera angle to see it.
Yeah, so there were a couple of the little ones, like I said, when they're, when they broke their buddy system rule and
that no one followed for some reason? Fucking Harvey.
None of those people did well in kindergarten, clearly. But no, they, there was a couple little small ones, like the hands on the mannequin. I think they played it off so only the person who thought they saw it was at the appropriate angle to see it. And,
okay. Yeah.
Oh, well, I had the camera down by my side. We weren't looking the same direction or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's kind of what I figured, because I was watching the background a lot in this one, knowing the formula now. Like, where's the next shadow going to come from, and where's the next person going to move from? And when they cut off lights, that as soon as they turn it back on, there's going to be something hanging out in the background,
You got the...
especially Harvey's light tests and
fingers.
You got the
what a
fingers
great
again.
The fingers over the shoulder.
Yeah, we got that.
Anyways, back to the bonfire scene,
Yes.
which is kind of where we.
So we get to the first night of watching the crew hang out and interact, and they're at the bonfire, and somebody dares Jane.
They start with the lead actor guy, who everybody's ragging
just
on the whole
shitting
time.
the entire time. Yeah.
Well, he did think he was better than everybody because he did Shakespeare in the Park, playing
apparently played a
tree
tree
with Amy
number
Adams.
3. Yeah, with Amy Adams.
I mean, to
So
be
which-
fair,
which-
if I was going to play with Amy Adams, I would tell everybody I wouldn't give a shit.
What does the role tree number 3 make you think of?
I feel like
Think
this is a
Bloodfest.
test. Oh, Bloodfest.
Topless girl number 4.
I would kill for number 3. Or was it whatever it was?
Just that one upgrade. Every number means something.
Yeah, they start throwing around the dare about running down to the basement, and you have to boop the clown.
Yeah, boop him on the nose.
Yeah.
And that's when...
Of course, it's set up perfectly, like you said. They're playing with the clown earlier, so Jane treats it as a complete joke. She's like, oh, yeah.
Well, and when she gets down there, Blood Clown's back.
Yeah.
Our buddy clown is back. And, of course, he's looking the same way as all the other clowns. She gets down, kisses the middle guy, turns, and it's looking right at her.
Well, that's the
Well,
point. Actually,
no,
we skipped something.
She's doing this selfie with it.
Yeah. So first, before she goes down,
yeah, you're right.
She's up at the landing at the top of the stairs, and she's doing the selfie view, saying, "Hey, I'm about to do this."
Oh, yes.
And right behind her is pretty much everyone that has died there previously, just standing there staring,
Yeah.
not moving.
And she
looking
can't
very
see it
ghostly.
because she's got a handheld camera that she turns around to do a portrait mode on herself.
Yeah.
And then turns it back around and goes down the stairs. Yeah.
And they're darker too, so it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
she wouldn't notice.
again, they're ghosts, so they're not going to show up during live footage. They're going to show up in the playback because she's got it turned around when she does the selfie with the clown she was sexually harassing.
Harassment. Yeah.
And then
the blood clown, his head has turned, which it's funny they use that, just his head turning in every one of these films, and it's always kind of creepy.
multiple times, and it gets me every time.
Yeah, it doesn't really lose its creep factor, which, I mean, and I think why is because now we expect it. And when it happens, you're like, God damn it, yep, all right, I thought that's what was going to happen. And then this one, because the second one, they used it to like block off some stuff. And this one, it started kind of coming for her.
Well, first, did you notice the head, as she was moving, the head was turning very slowly
Back.
and tracking her.
The head, the head was tracking.
And when she turned around, it was standing up.
And then you could hear it walking
I
toward
like the
her.
crunch on the gravel.
Yeah.
And then you hear the footsteps upstairs kind of take it over. And that's when they come and
Yeah, that
grab her.
was...
The gravel crunching, I was like, oh, man.
That,
Yeah. Get her.
I'll give it to Jane there. Get a little nervous there.
Man, I got some
Goosebumps.
goosebumps. That's it. My favorite
But
book.
I think the AC also just kicked on. So
the
I'm not scared. It's the AC.
that cold air, it gets me every time.
Man.
But I'll say I wasn't really impressed with Jane at the beginning of the movie, but her genuine horror, that transition from, hey, here's my selfie, got it done, and then she sees the clown, and it's just
Yeah. The goofiness terror swap was fantastic.
You
She did a
you
great
can
job.
see what little color was in her face completely drain out of it.
Yeah, she did great.
That was fantastic.
I bet if you're in that moment filming something like that and you have a very, very light crew, you're going to get a little creeped out in those scenes, especially if you're telling yourself, I'm this character doing this.
Oh yeah,
You'll cut. You'll be like,
you're
oh
gonna
my
psych
God, I'm
yourself
not going
up.
to sleep tonight.
And if, as the actor,
100%, I'd be wearing Depends for that scene.
as the actor, you look up and you see the cameraman and the director and the two other actors that are the only other people that could be in that clown suit.
And then
And
you
you
realize
realize-
I've made a horrible mistake.
Yeah, but the movie turns out good.
Yeah, I mean that's why we got 3 of them so far. So we have that whole section, and then you have the win, because essentially he's trying to protect everybody from what's befallen the last 2 crews and all those people that were doing dumb shit.
Yeah,
Yes,
which is hence the buddy system and room checks and nobody about after 9:00 at night, maybe.
After dark, they're not
After
allowed in
dark.
the house after dark. Yeah, and no one stays there. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
Which later, of course, they're all in the house after dark and doing the whole show after dark.
Yeah, if you gave that group of people a gremlin, I mean, the world would be overrun in days.
Yeah, they would pee on it immediately just to see.
And none of them could give a worthwhile montage that wasn't pre-written for them. Or a, monologue.
Montage. Yeah.
That's when we notice the smell. Oh, man. Never gets old.
I think after this is where we have the makeup gal having the conversation with Gregory, the main actor, where she's doing his powder.
Oh, yeah, they're up on the balcony.
Yeah. And then they go.
Leave the camera.
Of course. And then when she comes out, Sarah's standing there, dead, and gives her the little come hither finger, which, yeah, of course she just follows it. She doesn't run out back on the balcony and jump off the balcony and run away. She's like, yeah, sure. Goes in, and we have one of probably Taylor's favorite scenes. Someone in a sheet on the bed, just hanging out, real quiet like, and then the lights cut and they're gone. Do we have?
And then, like, they cut to the corner, and she's in the corner.
That's right. Yeah,
Door closes on her.
she's in that spot.
Yeah. She finally gets out of the room, drops the camera, takes off, and that's when they're...
And she doesn't come back.
Yeah.
Unlike our actress.
Well, the actress was given double pay to stick around. The makeup artist, she was offered double pay.
And said,
but she was smart and she said, nope, I'm out of here.
I'm going to go home and have PTSD the rest of my life. Thank you very much. Then we had the Children's Theater in Alabama line.
Yeah.
And that's right after that is when they talk. Isabella was the makeup gal's name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they show all of her posts on social media, which again.
So some hidden in the background, some very blatant.
Well, like the wine rack one, he's obviously there, but if you don't know who he is, I could see not getting it. But the other ones are very obviously somebody hanging.
So somebody dangling from the rafters.
Yeah, there's horrible things
By the neck.
happening in the background of these other ones that are pretty much what I have on my feed on Instagram. And then we have the second Heaven walkthrough where I did like that it was a different setup than we've seen in the other two movies. This was a new place to play with.
Right.
It was white. You had the mannequins. You had the creepy ass eyes. You had the hands.
They didn't have eyes except
Well,
for
the one
one
turned, yeah.
The one that turned.
Well, it didn't really have eyes so much as black pits in the white plane of its face.
It looked.
Don't worry, I'll erase that part.
Good.
He never does that when he says, "I'll cut that out."
About half the time I do. I just leave in the part where I say I'm going to delete that. And then like this. And then she goes in the room and she turns around and you have the hand through the door kind of making its way.
And that's when she sees Sarah.
Is that where she sees Sarah?
Yeah. So she's trying to back away from the mannequins and keeps like.
No, she doesn't see Sarah. She sees the other. She sees the
the reporter. Not Sarah. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the investigative reporter from the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think right after that is when she goes to the hotel to confront Wynn and say, yeah, people are freaking out. Something's wrong. And he just says, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, as he's watching the tapes from...
The second one.
Yeah, the documentary crew.
The second documentary for Hell House. And then I think from there we have the light test.
Well, no, before she does any of that, she goes and she talks to Russell Wynn and his COO and the other guy and
Harvey.
Yeah, and they just kind of stand there and let her gaslight herself, basically.
Yeah.
It's just like not believing that she's seen what she saw. Because they just kind of stand there. Because Russell is just like, well, no, let's listen to her. Let's let her talk. And he makes himself sound very reasonable. And then when she starts to talk, she's immediately questioning everything that she.
We did skip a critical scene from earlier on.
Hit me.
When they go talk to Father, what's his name, at the church.
Oh, the first time?
Yeah, so they go the first time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first reintroduction of that piano tune. Like,
you're right.
So like somebody's practicing organ, and then you get that tune coming through the organ about halfway through that conversation.
Yeah, you are correct.
It's my new favorite song.
I don't know what you even call all that. But yeah, that song.
My goal is still to figure out a way to make that play in your apartment at like 5 a.m. or something.
I'm already on my way to work, so go for it.
At like 3 a.m.
I might still be asleep, or I might not be home yet.
I was going to say, with you, it's hard to find that
if
window
I hang
of
out
when
with
you're
this
actually
guy,
going to be
I'm
there.
not home
and
yet.
you haven't left for work. I don't know how you function because you don't sleep.
It's easier than you
Lots
think.
of
really.
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meth is amazing. So yeah, then she goes to the hotel, confronts him. He said everything's fine, stick to the plan kind of thing. And then they're doing the testing.
I'll see you at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Door slam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically,
Just
don't
cuts her off.
question me.
Yeah.
Do your job. Let me do my stuff.
And the lighting test, we have the lamp, the desk light, dead person, go to black, red light, dead person a little closer, cut to black. And then in that last black, you have the fingers, our little Tom Savini fingers on the neck, and he freaks the hell out. All the lights come back on. He's by himself.
Yeah. All he's got is the light coming off the walkie or his phone or what.
Whatever's
Monitor
happening
maybe.
there. And I think that's the same time we also have the COO walk down the hall, and Gregory's in the dining room talking to someone.
It's right after that, I think.
I think it cuts to that.
Yeah.
Because they're walking and talking, and then he hears him in there talking to someone, and he stops, and he's like, hey.
They pause around the corner just to see.
And the camera never goes around the corner, so you can't see who he's talking to.
And they're sitting there joking. They're like, oh, listen, he's talking,
Yeah, like, ha, 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 he's got a
up
girl
there,
in there.
yeah.
And then as soon as they walk in, they say something before they turn the corner, so Gregory's looking at them.
He turns to
And
look.
then when he turns around, he's like, hey, where'd she go? And he pretty much describes Sarah.
Well, because her voice got creepy because she was saying,
Well, at the end, it was the same as 2.
That last comment of
'Cause it was
nobody's leaving here, or
and then wasn't it
something
like
that-
he's coming? Or,
It's like, no one's leaving here, you're all going down.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
One of those. I talk about that for a little while. Again, they're all like, yeah, that's fine, I guess, and continue with what they're doing. And then we have, before opening night, is the bar sequence, which is the same bar as 2. Did they have it in the first one?
what?
No,
They did not have the bar in the first one. I didn't think so.
they did not.
They show the diner in the first one, but that's it.
Yeah, no, because in the first one, they all get together and they drink in the hotel, but they don't actually go
Yeah,
off site.
Which I did wonder when
because they were all broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did wonder when they had the bar thing and Wynn came in, who's supposed to be a billionaire, couldn't get them to make him a pizza. But also they had like dinner rolls on the table, and it was like 3 of them. If they're like, this is where we're going to cut costs. We're not going to have food. We're just going to give each of you a dinner roll. And that's what you're going to eat during your sequence. But you're not even going to eat it. You're just going to hold it up and then be like, oh, yeah, and take it away from your mouth. Whereas the past few, they've had beer and they've had food on the tables. Like
Well, everybody was drinking. He didn't get his mid '80s Chateau Red.
Which is a travesty, if you ask me.
it is.
He took the $4 House Red.
House, yeah. Didn't even want the win, his own wine, because it was overpriced.
Yeah, too overpriced.
And that's also, we have the scene where what was the girl's name that's the host of the show?
Vanessa.
Yeah.
You said it way more confident the second time. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Chases him down.
I was
Confidence
going
is
to say,
key.
yeah, no matter what you said, too.
Frederick, that's the one.
Probably Gretchen.
Chases him down, and he whispers something to her. And we have no idea what it is. And then immediately from there, they go to the church again.
Yeah, that's what cues the second scene with Padre there.
But what's weird about the scene where he's whispering to her, and I think they must have had this sort of thing in mind when they cast those two characters, is she's not super short, but she's not very tall. And that guy is incredibly tall. So he's kind of leaning down with his hands. Like they're in a weird position. He looked kind of like a praying mantis with his hands resting on her shoulders, like he's about to strike. And then he's whispering something in her ear. And then it's like, it's weird because it's like she just stops for a minute.
Well,
this-
she freezes.
Yeah. Well, this was after the whole discussion of why we're supposed to have all access, backstage access, and
Well,
you
he
don't want us
also-
there on opening night.
Yeah, and he says, don't come on opening night. Stay
Yeah.
away. Because
Watch the rehearsal. It'll be
I've
fine.
got a plan. Yeah, the fact that he started saying "Don't come on opening night," immediately you're like, okay, so he knows.
That's not a red flag.
He knows what's going to happen on some level.
Yeah.
And then we have opening night, which I did like. It went full circle. Hell House 1 started with the opening night. The line out there, they come out, they let everybody in. You have that long cut or that long shot of going through and then shit going sideways. And this one ends with the long line and him coming out, doing a little monologue, and then you have the show to kind of close out the trilogy.
Yeah.
I thought that
he was charismatic in that monologue there.
Oh yeah, he wanted some people.
Yeah.
He needs some souls. I thought that was a great way to round it out. You know, I also like the generic masks for the audience, so it didn't matter who was in the background. It could be the other actors that were in the first two movies, and you don't know. So it's a great way to save money and get in shape.
Well, actually, so that's part of that show that it's based on.
Right.
That's what they do. And I remember when I was reading about this a while back, I can't remember the specific details, if it was they'd had a problem or that they were structuring things to make sure that they would not have a problem with like cast members, with audience touching cast members, because they like these people are wearing masks, so some of them are just going to get inappropriate and like try and grab people and stuff.
I feel like you have a shield on if you're wearing a mask.
Yeah, yeah. So I remember that being something that they were discussing with the original show, which really doesn't have any bearing on this movie. So,
great point.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was so the ticket holders follow the show throughout the house.
Right.
And I guess I just assumed it was so there was no not really interaction with the audience, but you're not getting the reaction, and you can stay focused on the other actors and not the expressions and everything else. Because I mean, like if you're on a stage in a play, you're all those stage lights. It's not like you can really see past the first or second row, anyways.
I thought the same thing when they were in the dining room, because they were all kind of clustered around them.
Right.
Like, even if you look up, you're not going to see someone like grinning or picking their nose or whatever.
You're not going to see the reaction
They're all identical, which I mean, it's kind of like Imagine Them Naked,
Yep.
Which to that point gets us to the play. I would say Etsy version of what's the guy from Silicon Valley? That owns a house.
Ehrlich.
Ehrlich,
the character, yeah.
Yeah, that actor
Ehrlich
that comes
Bachman?
Ehrlich Bachman, yeah. When he comes through the heaven area.
Ehrlich Bachman, the founder of Aviato.
Oh yes, the founder. And of this brain trust.
He owns 10% of Pied Piper.
When he comes through the heaven thing with his like silk robe, that was my first thought. Like, it's Ehrlich Bachman.
That's a good point, yeah.
And then you have the actual shit started hitting the fan. You have Blood Clown in the winery for no reason whatsoever that everybody has to walk around.
Well, that was a cool moment, because you've got the first scene of the play and everything seems to be going really well.
Right.
But then as they're walking through the winery, someone screams.
Yeah.
And so you cut back to the people in the control room, which are basically the management team under Russell.
Harvey and his new friend.
Yeah, we don't know where she came from.
That's not part of the show.
But they're watching, and then once the crowd clears a little bit, they can see on their camera that the Blood Clown is just standing there, like he's kind of looks like he's propped up against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they also say, what's that 2C? And it kind of flashes, which we immediately knew was Tully.
Yeah.
He's wearing the suit. He's bald and old and very handsome.
Like they played the clown thing off because it's the same thing they do in the others.
Yeah.
He's right in the way of everybody.
You got to walk past it. You got to get close to it.
Yeah.
It's one of those is he or isn't he things. Cheap and effective. Yeah. And from there, I think my favorite scene in this movie is they go into... Actually, okay, before we get to my favorite, Duder Wynn does go up to check the room to see, and Tully pretty much says, it's almost time, your part's done in this, you've brought them to me, essentially saying, hey, thanks for all these souls I can throw in the lake of fire and we'll all go in together kind of thing. Actually, I think he says that verbatim. But after that, And then somebody comes in to check on him, and there's no one there, and he's just alone
this
in
is
the room.
COO. Jesse, maybe.
Sure. And we have the dining room sequence, which that was definitely my favorite part of this movie. When the two actors are at the table going back and forth, you have the audience around them with their masks on watching, and then Tully just strolls in, comes down to the table, and starts just bullshitting with them. And then when the camera cuts back from black, he's got his thumbs in the one guy's eyes.
Well, because the power goes out.
Oh, that's right, because it's out for 10 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
And his thumbs are all the way in his eyes, and blood is just exploding down his face. And then you have the freak out moment where everyone's trying to run away, and they don't.
Well, what you missed there is that then, so as they're running, someone with a camera, for some reason, is like creeping down the stairs toward the basement, and you can see light down there that looks kind of a fiery light.
That was Jesse's GoPro, the COO. He was trying to get people out. He's like, this is not part of the show. Let's go, get out.
Oh, yeah, because that was at the end.
And,
I think.
and he's trying to clear, make sure he clears the house.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then as he turns...
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, when all the cultists come out.
They're all coming like out of the gate from hell or wherever they've been hiding, their little pocket dimension.
Yeah, it's pretty much the fifth Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
All those wizards. And they come out and start stabbing everyone, and that's probably the worst thing they did. They took way too much time on the stabbing when it just started looking goofy after a minute. Especially the girl that got her throat cut. She's just going, It's like, bitch, you can't do that. Your throat's cut.
Took her a really long time to die.
The key part of that
They usually
I
don't
did like
last
the
that
lazy
long.
Susan, though. That was effective.
So the key
Oh,
part
yeah,
of that
when they
whole
set the camera down on it?
Before you even get to that, though, is you see that not only are the cultists killing people in the house, but they're starting to spill out of the house. Like,
I like
the
that a
gate
lot.
has been opened. It's loosened. You got one that's diving into a car to get somebody.
Yeah. When you have that overhead drone shot, you've got like two of them running off in the parking lot after people.
Yeah, emergency services are pulling up. It's pure pandemonium. Dogs and cats are living together in harmony.
Horses eating each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you have the Lazy Susan is like 4 or 5 shots because it eventually shows the cultists leave and she comes up and you see
Tully's in the corner.
Tully over there.
Please describe what you mean by Lazy Susan.
Yes. So if you're not familiar, Lazy Susan is a really racist term for a small table on a rotary piece that spins. You know, like if you go to an old school restaurant and you want the salt, but you're too lazy to toss it to someone, you put it on a Lazy Susan and spin it so that the person that wants the salt can have it. Is that good enough? Does that make enough sense?
And that was the bartender's favorite piece there.
Which I did wonder why they did that with the bartender. I was like, that's a weird thing to do. But I just figured they were trying to kill time.
Yeah.
Like, the movie's only 27 minutes. We got to do something. We got to stretch this stuff out. Because she's like, can you turn that off? It's making too much noise. He's like, I guess. Like, he was really bummed about it for some reason.
That was the only cool part of his job.
Yeah. I've got an automatic Susan. She's not so lazy. And then she goes to the basement, right? Is that where we're at?
She crawls over and is not really sure where to go, and she gets grabbed and dragged.
Yeah, they take her to the basement.
They
where
grab
the
her.
cultist does, and then he shoves her up against the wall, and Tully's standing there. But the other cultist
and
shoves
Tully
her
cuts
against
her
the wall
throat,
and cuts
doesn't
her
he?
throat.
Yeah, that's what it is. Tully cuts her throat, and then as soon as she's dead, you have Wynn come in, and Wynn
Coming in hot.
Yeah. And he
thought of that as soon as he won.
closes the gate.
Because he's an angel. Or something like that.
Yeah, and at this point, they don't actually explain it, but what I think happened, why I think he went about things the way he did, is that in the first film, what was needed in order to open it was a catalyst. They needed a lot of people in there, and for bad things to happen with this large group. Did
you mention already that he was seen in the found footage twice with both other Hell House?
No, not yet. So that was, but so when what was the guy that ran Hell House in the first one?
Alex,
yeah, he was tricked into creating the situation that opened the gate, And then throughout the second one, everything's active, more bad things are happening, it's fueling the fire. And then in the third one,
That's what you get for bringing in a psychic.
Tully thinks that Wynn has been manipulated into bringing that last group that's needed to truly open it wide. But what he's actually doing is he's bringing them in there as bait to get Tully and his people to basically to come forward and reveal themselves so that he can shut the gate. That's my take on it.
No, that's exactly what I think it is. It's a Cincinnati swap.
Yeah. So he shuts the gate, and then he somehow uses his angel powers or whatever to save everyone that's been murdered horrifically in this house and put them in the cornfield out behind it.
Saved by the corn.
Yeah.
Just like the Pilgrims.
So then, and there's a little conversation between a couple of the people that survive. Sorry.
They all recall dying, and how did we end up out here?
I thought I was dead. Oh, you were.
Which is funny because, Russell Wynn said early on, he said, nobody's going to get hurt. And I think that's what he intended and what he thinks happened, but all of these people are going to have psychological trauma.
Oh, yeah, they're all broken from the inside. There are going to be a lot of suicides. They're going to hell no matter what. Man, after that.
Well, no, they're not going to be able to get in. The door's locked.
There's always another door.
But they can go to the Abaddon.
Not anymore. It's burned down.
Burned down.
Well, the metaphysical one.
Ah, yes, of course.
Yeah, go hang out with Alex and
Beetlejuice Hotel.
At the bar. Yeah.
Which
I did like that final group scene of where, their effects guy or camera guy gets up and he's like, oh, man, I don't know what happened. I feel better now, but...
The one that cut his own throat at the very end.
Yeah, he slit his own
movie.
throat.
Yeah.
But they're all, they have that collective, maybe this wasn't the best idea. Let's get the hell out of here.
Well, then Wynn
We're going
shows
back to
up,
New York.
Or Angel or whatever Wynn was, which, let's go back to that for a real quick second. As soon as they said he died in the car crash.
Only 2 minutes.
My thought was he made a deal with the devil to bring him there, and you were going to have that repeat of the other two movies.
That's what you're supposed to think.
That was
the old switcheroo.
Yep. And
That
you're
was my
doing
first
the
instinct.
play, which is
Faust making a deal with the devil.
Trying to tempt him. So I did like that they kind of turned that around, which you never really know, because the priest says the only thing that can do it is an angel sent down from God himself. So either that's not Wynn in that body, it's an angel inhabiting it, or God was like, hey, here you go. Here's some magic God power.
He's been deputized.
I like that even better. Yeah.
By the RIPD.
Oh, how?
It's like the Boondock Saints of Satan holes. And
That was, so when I remember the first time I watched this movie, they go back and talk to the priest for the second time, and they're talking about, oh, well, as of midnight, he's liquidated all of his assets. That was the first hint I had that, okay, maybe he didn't make a deal with the devil. Maybe he's trying to do something positive.
which, see, to me, that furthered my deal with the devil, because I thought, I got to try and make right for, that was his way of making it right.
I could see that.
That was my first thought.
But it was that combined, and then thinking back to the package from the priest, it's like, okay, something.
You know what? I bet
something's not falling in line.
I bet it was a cod piece. I bet that's what the priest gave him.
I mean, you got to have your armor and shield to fight the devil.
Yeah. If you're going to break a beer bottle on your crotch, you need a cod piece.
But,
Yes.
you could look at it from a different angle.
Sounds like you speak from experience.
He's liquidating his assets to give it to charity, which is good. But if you were to balance the good and the bad, what's the negative impact of this guy who is the clearly owner of a massive media group, selling all of his stock, probably tanking the stock price due to doing so, causing people to lose confidence?
He said he got rid of everything because his COO got really mad when that news piece came out. And he's like, no, I didn't liquidate any of my shares here. This is the only one I kept.
Well, no, he kept like the small things, but the big stuff. So like most of his media group, he would have gotten rid of. That's what was causing.
Yeah, like he kept enough to pay all the people that were working for him at that time.
Like the little artsy things are what he kept, but the big stuff, the big money makers, he got rid of.
So, I hope that priest donates some of it to trauma counseling and PTSD counseling.
Right.
Yeah, he's in for a lot of visits.
Yeah. Well, no, is he the one you want to talk to? Because you're sitting there spilling your guts to him, and then you stop and say, "Wait a minute."
You
Didn't you know this was gonna
facilitated.
happen?
Yeah.
What did you think was happening?
You let me go in there?
Because he wouldn't say a lot, so he must have known something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was pretty blatant at that point. It's her fault for going in. He told her, maybe don't come on opening night. And she's like, no, screw you. We'll be there.
I need to see it. So anyway, back to the Beetlejuice piece where they can't get out of the hotel. The original crew is in there kind of trapped because I guess they were responsible for reopening.
The catalyst for,
that was
as
like
you
a
said.
purgatory for them, I'm guessing.
Yep.
And then you have Wynn in the background.
Wynn walks around. Nobody's going anywhere.
You did this. This was your fault to Alex.
To Alex because it's
Alex
totally
is the one
Alex
to deal with. Totally. Yeah. And then he walks off and it looked like he just kind of disappeared when Sarah went looking for him around the corner and she's like, yeah, all right. Guess he's gone. And then they go to the bar for a drink. If you're
Go down to the Winchester, wait it out.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to
wait
get
for
liver
things
cancer.
to blow over.
Yeah. There we go.
That's pretty much the movie.
Yeah. And it's, I think like you said, Rob, it's definitely on the weaker end of the trilogy, but it wraps things up sufficiently that, I think all of the loose ends are tied.
Got a nice little bow on top.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So, and it had some, as we said, it had some good little jump scares and, kept some of the magic from the first ones.
Yeah, I think the scares in this one was really the only thing that was done on the same level as the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because they changed enough that it wasn't just another,
Wasn't a duplicate of the first two.
Yeah, it wasn't a copy-paste deal.
Yeah.
And then you had the camera shutters and stuff like that. And you also had...
You got the cutaway or the cutbacks that were...
Yeah, the same...
So they used all the same stuff and the
same effects that were effective in the first one.
And some of them were, even though you said they didn't copy-paste for this movie, they literally copy-pasted.
Oh, yeah, some of them were.
A dozen of those, and it was still the same jump scare on some of them.
Yeah,
and
had the same feel.
Still worked.
But
felt like I was back watching the first one and scared once again.
Like Sarah in this one, when Stephanie, Isabel sees her, she's not right in front of her coming at her. She's hanging out in the hallway, like motioning to her. So it's creepy, but it's not that boom in your face creepy like we had multiple times in the other ones. Yeah, I mean, I still like it. And I wonder why the people from 2 were not trapped in the Beetlejuice Hotel either, but maybe they were
because they were
released.
Well, they weren't. I mean, I could see the psychic. I could see there being cause for the psychic there because he came and kind of provoked, but they were just following up on the Hell House crew and all that other stuff. Yeah. So
that's kind of why I was saying if they were responsible, then it's why they get put in that purgatory thing. I think that's it. You got anything else?
No, I was sorry. I got kind of distracted. I was looking to see if I could find where I could buy the clown mask for the.
You can't see this, but he's on Grindr. Yeah. Oh yeah, can you actually buy that?
Well, I found.
I'll take 2.
Someone made one on Etsy, and there's only one left. It's $225.
Oh, we could make one for less than that.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Oh, it does look good though.
Oh wow, yeah,
looks really good. But yeah, we probably could make one. Oh, well, you could.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we can.
I'm pretty sure you already have all the supplies out and ready to go.
Yes.
Actually, I want to do that because I think I might want to do that for Halloween.
Son of
a. But if I do that, then I need to show up at your house like before other people are there and just be out front like a prop. Since you always have lots of props.
I'll have all the other ones out there with you.
Yes.
And then you just
sit down and turn your head.
Actually, I really just want to wait till Shay's walking by and reach out.
It has to be Shay. Yeah. He's so scared of clowns. I had the other one.
Oh, I forgot he was that scared of clowns.
And I watched him coming up, and he like looked at it and kind of walked around at Wyatt, and he punched it in the face. He's like, "Meh." Like, dude, look at it. It's just cloth and metal and a little bit of noise, but he's so terrified of him that he just gets angry.
Yeah, I don't want him to punch me in the face. So
you guys should have taken him to the clown hotel outside of Vegas.
I mentioned it. He did not love the idea.
See, that's where comes in.
All right, we're gonna get back to that later.
Let's,
it's a different conversation.
yeah, let's cut that piece.
That's for Charles.
Touche.
Don't know if it's better or worse. Anyway, Hell House 3, the trifecta, pretty decent. Watch them all. Definitely the weakest, but it gives you the full picture. It gives you the full circle vision of what they were, I assume, trying to do. And finally, a possibly happy ending, maybe.
And
It's definitely worth 4.5 hours of your time to watch all three.
To watch all of them, yeah. It's 2 episodes of Stranger Things.
And it's kind of cool that they bring back, we didn't really mention this, but that they bring back a lot of the cast members from the earlier ones with their little ghost cameos, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody from the first one at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Which we talked about for the second one. They brought back a few people, not everybody. But this one brought back kind of, it was the gang's all here for that last little bit, which I did enjoy. Anything else, Ryan?
Nope. Watch it. It's great.
I concur.
All right. Well, that's Hell House 3. You know, listen to our podcast. Tell people we don't want to work real jobs.
Are we recording?